Good morning. There's a shadow because there's a door here. You're inside my cabinet right now. I don't have any fancy equipment in my kitchen. I am currently taking sprouted almonds. See, they have a little nub on them. It takes about 6 to 8 hours. You soak them in water and they sprout just like a seed. And when they do that, the nutrients of the mama plant bind together for the baby. And they want to give this baby plant the best nutrients possible to give it life. And so when you eat those nutrients the way they are bound together, you're giving yourself a superfood. You're giving yourself nutrients that you normally wouldn't get. So I highly recommend sprouting your almonds. Other things you can soak would be almonds. If you eat almonds raw, you might end up with a stomach ache over time. It's not really digestible. There's, I don't remember the name of the acid, but if you soak walnuts for about 6 to 8 hours, same thing. All the oils like come out and then you drain the liquid and you just eat the soaked walnut. And it has like a creamier texture. It's not as crunchy. Like these are also creamier in my opinion. So a little bit, they're still crunchy, but they don't taste like regular almond. And the texture is different, very different. So I read about this in a book called, well, let's see, what was it called? It had to do with living raw diet. But I'll tell you the author. It was one word, R-H-I-O, Rio. I can't believe I found this book in the trash. Like somebody must have died. Nobody threw this book away. It was right on time for me when I got it. Like I needed something like that. Taught me about all the different grains that you can sprout, things that I'd never tried before. You go to the health food store, you see things in bags and you're like, I don't know what to do with that. I'm an American. I didn't grow up like in a third world country where we have to like, soak our own beans. I mean, yes, some people do, but like I don't. I buy canned beans. Somebody else does that for me. Somebody else does part of the work. Like when I come home, dinner takes like 20 minutes to make. I have it easy because I work all day, but people who don't work all day, you can do the raw diet. If you work all day, you probably cannot do the raw diet. It's very time consuming. And I'll give you an example. So let's say I want to make a burger. A burger is made with walnuts and different seasonings. You could use sunflower seeds. You could use sprouts from sunflower seeds. But you mix it all together in a mash and then you get the dehydrator out and you dehydrate it. So by the time you've sprouted, pulverized, seasoned, created this burger, and then dehydrated, it takes about 5 or 6 days before you have food. So you better make a bunch of it and then store it. And then you can't really store it for very long because it's alive, it's fresh. It will go bad in 2 to 3 days. Like this almond milk I'm about to make, it won't last very long. And I'm making a ton of it. So I give it to people, or I think this time I'm gonna freeze some of it. I'll probably put it in like canning jars. Because I have like a whole 2 pounds of almonds, I think, here. The other thing, I was just, when you do an activity, I don't have music on right now. I'm just listening to my thoughts. And there are different thoughts that popped up. I had a teacher, this is a story, segue, I'll come back. I had a teacher who said, I dare you to drive around in your car for a week without the radio on and see what happens. He's like, you're gonna go crazy. You'll probably end up depressed or suicidal. And I thought, that's crazy. I'm young, I'm so full of life, I'm happy, I make money, I'm going to school, like I live with my grandma, like life is good. So I tried it. Okay, try this challenge. I had a great job too. Anyway, so it was true. By the end of the week, I was suicidal, and I've never been suicidal in my life. So for some reason, we need music. We need sound. We need somebody talking to us. We need some type of social interaction. You cannot be stuck alone with your own brain. I wouldn't trust it. I mean, you could be like a wonderful person and still go off the edge, off the rails when it comes to silence. Silence is a tough one. So for those of you who know me, I do sell a sound device that plays frequencies. It doesn't play music. So it's almost like white noise, but in my opinion, a step above that. You're getting different notes on a scale, and those different notes play to different parts of your body. And not technically, we call those notes or those parts of your body chakras. And there's different, those are just different regions. It's like different countries in the world. You're the universe, and over here is this solar system, and each solar system has its own little planets, and that is each chakra inside of you. And so these things are constantly rotating energy and spinning things off. Okay, so the next thought was about people who have these skin disorders or autoimmune diseases, and they get these rashes and they can't leave the house, and there's all these commercials about like, now you can leave the house, now you can get back to life, and you don't have to hide under a sweatshirt, you know, all the time. Like you can feel free to go out, and like, you know, this medication will help you. That's well and good. I hope it is helping a lot of people, but I question if there's a natural method. I always do. I always want to know like if there's some other way. And we know that like that type of skin dryness doesn't happen at the outside layer. It's coming from the inside layer. So I'm going to relay another thing that I read about, and it was a woman in California who wrote her own cookbook. It's not a cookbook because it's raw. You don't cook anything. So excuse me for that. But I'll have to get back to you with her name. I have her book upstairs. I haven't read it in a while. She's a cute little Asian girl, and she has a dog, and she feeds her dog raw food, which means the dog never gets any meat, but the dog looks really healthy. And just to add to the argument, like I've seen dogs in India, and maybe they get meat once in a while, but for the most part, they live in a city that is vegetarian. So it's not very likely that those street dogs are eating meat. And they're fine, they survive, you know. I wouldn't say they're healthy, I don't know, but they're alive. Anyway, so going back to something she said about this mixture of nuts. When you eat so many nuts, you replace your bread with nuts. You make bread out of nuts and seeds, like sprouted grain bread with no flour. It's like completely made of nuts and seeds, completely. And it kind of falls apart. It doesn't stick together. It doesn't have that sticky, gummy stuff that flour does. But it's delicious. And she says when your diet is like this, it's comprised of all these nuts, you're getting so many oils. And the oils are coming from the inside of your body out to the outer layers of your skin. And she claimed that if you eat enough of these nuts, that your body will create its own natural sunscreen. So I don't know how far you can take that, or if it's really true, or if you want to test it, but it brought this idea to my mind just now, because I'm always like taking all these bits of information and trying to like come up with something new. That's how my brain works. What if you have a skin dryness disorder and you just eat a bunch of nuts and you're full of oil? Like, see how you can see I didn't wash my hair today and I'm greasy, I'm oily, right? I mean, this is only after one day, so imagine like 2 or 3 days, I can look like a grease ball. My body is producing oil and my skin doesn't dry out. So the second part may be if your skin or hair is drying out, it's because you're using products to wash those oils off of you. And I would say, use something that's pH balanced, or look for something that doesn't have that soapiness to it, like sodium lauryl sulfate, which, is fun because it makes bubbles. They put it in stuff because when you create those bubbles in your toothpaste, you're brushing your teeth or washing your hair, you want those bubbles, you know, and when you don't see bubbles, you don't believe that you're actually cleaning or it's being clean. It's like, well, I washed, but I'm still oily. You know, a lot of people want to just strip all those oils out because you don't want to leave the house looking greasy, right? So just don't leave the house. Just kidding. Well, you can't leave the house anyways if you have these skin disorders, right? So it's just an idea. I don't think the only precautions I can think of would be, you know, like I said, stomach upset. If you eat so many nuts, your digestive system can only handle so much. So the reality of life is everything in moderation. You know, you want to incorporate more nuts into your diet, more things that have oils. Some people say, oh, you should take fish oil. I don't believe that. If you need fish oil, eat more fish. It's just my opinion. I think it's an unreasonable amount of oil. And like, your body doesn't need to be a fish. Like, that's, in nature, it would be really unnatural for you to eat that many fish. So that makes me think it's unnatural to eat that much fish oil. That's just me. That's just my opinion. But if fish oil is working for you, obviously keep using it. These are just like my thoughts sometimes. Could you take up a little tiny pill? If you don't want to eat nuts, could you find a pill that's like walnut oil? I mean, some of these oils are good for you, nuts and seeds, but I just don't know if they make them as a thing. I haven't researched the supplements market that much because I think for the most part, you should just eat food that has the things you need. And when I'm talking about these cute little almonds, these are superfoods. So superfood will give your body so much nutrition in a tiny little bit that you don't really need much. Your body's like, okay, I'm happy. I got what I needed. Versus like having maybe bread or cereal that doesn't have many vitamins or minerals in it, and then your body is craving more because it didn't get enough of what it needs. So then you end up eating a lot more food. I find when I'm on the raw diet that I hardly eat anything at all, and I'm satisfied. I might not be full, but I'm not hungry either. And you can eat a lot of things that make you feel full that you wouldn't even imagine, like dried fruit. And in the raw diet, what we do with that is we soak it. So right now I'm soaking some dates, and I'm going to pull the seeds out after they're soft, and then we'll throw them in the blender with the almonds, and that is a natural sweetener. So we don't use sugar, but if you want an almond milk that's sweet, that's the best way to sweeten it. I'm sure you could find dates that aren't whole. You could find, you know, date chunks, or I think it'd be really cool if somebody made a date sugar. I don't know how it is for the glycemic index. I don't know. For those people out there who can't eat sugar, what kind of sugars are you're able to eat or not eat. But anyways, just a few ideas while I'm popping shells. I'm popping shells. So I'll tell you the process. You soak these first for about 6 to 8 hours. And then you get a pot of water boiling. Get it going first, get it boiling. And then you throw the almonds in there and you count to 7. You don't let the almonds sit. You don't want the almonds to cook. And the reason for that is because after soaking them for so long, they're alive and they have living, like, I'm forgetting the word. Sorry. But anyways, they're alive. And when you boil them, anything past 105 degrees, it cooks off enzymes. The enzymes. And your body loves enzymes, loves raw stuff. You need it. It's good for you. So how else are you going to get these enzymes? Yeah, you can take powders, protein powders, shakes have enzymes, and different supplements, or you can eat food that has living enzymes, and you can put living food into your body. Anytime you eat, I'll just give an example, like a cracker, it's dead. It's not a living food. It's not alive. Obviously meat is not alive, but you can eat things that are not just yogurt. that have these enzymes and healthy gut biome building bacterias, things that will help you have energy, natural energy. Your body's going to feel so good and be operating better. So with that said, you count to 7. And the reason for that is because if you wait any longer than that, you're going to cook off all the enzymes, and then all that soaking was for nothing. For naught. N-A-U-G-H-T. I'm a nerd. So yeah, then the reason we do that is because it makes the skins pop off. You just put it in your little fingers there and you squeeze it, and the skin just slides right off. It's really, really simple. You don't want to eat the skins because the skins will definitely be disruptive to your digestive system. It's too much fiber. It will definitely make your stomach hurt to eat almond skins. If you don't like almonds for some reason, that might be why, because, you know, the skins are tough. They're really, really tough. I would not recommend, I mean, like, if you feel this in your hands, it's like a really dense, like, material, not made for stomachs. Like, if you want roughage, obviously eat some fresh vegetables. So we're going to combine, I like my almond milk very almondy. I think the stuff at the store is more watered down than the stuff I make. The stuff I make, I can control it, but then I'm spending more money because it's more almonds to water ratio. Like, I will do 1 cup of almond to 2 cups of water, and then you drain the liquid, you strain the liquid, and you don't want any of that pulp. So you're gonna want a fine mesh strainer, something like this, because you don't want any of that pulp. What happens is if you don't strain off those little bits of almond, they're gonna get stuck in your throat and you're gonna feel like you're choking, and it feels gritty. It's almost like drinking sand. You don't want that. So get the fine mesh strainer. And so you have this liquid left behind. You can, you know, add different sweeteners to it, whatever sweetener you like. Some people might use agave. You can look up, if you're gonna search Google, type in raw almond milk recipe and you'll get a few different ones, and just pick what, you know. So I think the ratio might be 4 cups of water in most of those recipes. And I will let the pulp soak with the water for a little while and hit the blend button again. Like, I want to try to get as much out of my almonds as I can. And some of you might have like an even better blender where it just, you know, gets that pulp down to like a fine powder, which is even better. Like, you want to like drink as much of the nutrients from the living. You can eat it. I mean, you don't have to drink almond milk. You can do it any way you want. I know, those crazy eyebrows drive me crazy. Sorry. I feel like I hate looking at myself sometimes. Okay, so there we go. Eating in front of you. Is it delicious? Yes, it is. You should try it. Even if you don't make, some people don't like almond milk. It's a tree nut. Some people are allergic. I think sometimes the allergies come from the way the food is processed. Maybe you had an allergic reaction to a chemical that they sprayed the plant with. I think that's a possibility, but I'm not telling you to go out and try it if you think you're gonna have anaphylactic shock. So proceed with caution. But I've known people who were allergic to something and then accidentally ate it again and didn't have a reaction. And I always question that. I'm like, well, I had an allergic reaction the first time. Like, this was a green bell pepper, by the way. Maybe one green bell pepper came from someone's garden and the other one came from a store. You know, maybe one was bioengineered and the other one wasn't. Like, I don't know. Gotta ask these questions. Like, I don't know. Anyways, there's so many foods to be scared of now. It's like, what do we have left to eat? Like, nothing's good. I'm on this Facebook group called Bioengineered Food Awareness. So I've been, you know, watching these people and listening to them, and like some of them have great advice. A lot of them know so much about food, and they'll just put out a couple sentences and it's like, oh, I didn't know that, you know, like which grain is the best? And somebody comes on there and goes, none. Grain is for animals. We're not animals. And I'm like, well, we kind of are. We are to a point. And if you get really hungry, grain's great because, you know, it's filling. And back in the day, I'm sure when we were cave people or what, you know, uncivilized, that grain was like the easiest way to like keep your belly full and stay alive and like go out and look for other food or grow other food. Like you kind of might have needed grain back then, but then other people say no, grain is fine just as long as it's not treated with glyphosate. So we're making almond milk today. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh yes, one more thing. So when you're done making your almond milk, you're going to be left with pulp. And the pulp can be made into a variety of things. You can also look into that. You can put it through a dehydrator. You can mash it with bananas and make cute little cookies. Oh yeah, you can add more sweetener and or not, because depending on your bananas, those might be sweet enough, but you can mash the pulp with just banana and it makes a cookie. That's it. It's an almond banana cookie. I'm pretty sure there's a recipe to add peanut butter. That would be delicious. Yeah, just look around, look on the internet, see what you find. The other thing that's a little more tricky to make, and I have not perfected it yet, is an almond cheese. So for those of you out there who are lactose intolerant or don't eat dairy or you're vegan, this is a good way to get, you know, something satisfied in that realm. So you hang it in that bag that I showed you, this bag here, the milk bag, not milk bag, cheese bag, whatever you want to call it. You leave the pulp hanging out in like a warm room, and I forget, you should look it up how long you leave it sitting out for, but it's going to grow bacteria. And what is cheese anyway? It's like moldy stuff. It's growing bacteria. So you're eating, it's still alive, but it's a beneficial bacteria. And it's going to taste a little yeasty. It's going to taste cheesy. It's going to taste like almond cheesy. It's going to have its own little cheesy taste. So if you like almonds, you'll probably love almond cheese. Some people add nutritional yeast to it. It's a little powder by Bragg's, B-R-A-G-G-S. I think other companies also make nutritional yeast. It's some expensive stuff, but the reason is because you don't need much of it. It's a very strong flavor and it's packed with nutrients, packed. If you're not eating nutritional yeast, you're missing out. This stuff is incredible. And then you add salt. You might add a couple little seasonings. There's things besides salt you can add. There's this stuff called nama shoyu. Now I'm gonna show you something, all right? Nama shoyu is like soy, but it's not soy. I think it's it goes through a different process where I don't think the soy is all the way fermented. Like I think it's still a lot. Oh no, I don't know actually. So there you go. I don't know everything, but just take what I do know and expand your knowledge, and you can be smarter than me. And hopefully, the frequencies are helping you. Oh, one more thing. When you use frequencies, your cells are already like doing this type of motion to absorb nutrients and also squeeze things out. And this process, I don't know the name of it, but you know, a healthy person needs to excrete certain amounts, and then you know, you pee it out, and that's, you know, where a lot of your waste comes from. Using frequencies will regulate that process or get you at a tempo where the cells feel like, okay, we are working now. If anything is off in your system, you know, you might want to start at the cellular level. I would do the frequencies, even though they're a little bit annoying. But I would start slow and low. Always do like the lowest frequency first and try it for a little while and see how you feel. And then when you're ready, go up to the next highest frequency. And the higher you go, the faster you're going to push your system, because instead of just expanding and contracting at this rate, now you're expanding and contracting at this rate.